REITs or real estate? Which is the better investment? Hi, I'm Michael, and we talk about investing and personal finance. If you like what you see, press the like button and subscribe to my channel. And you can find me as well on Instagram when you look for Michael Schmidt Investing. Yeah, today's topic, real estate or REITs. Quite an interesting topic, and I will go into the details on what I mean by that. And first, I want to say, don't take it as a one-off example that you have to follow. Every person has different circumstances and different ways they want to approach things, and they want to achieve different things as well. So this is not a one-way street, REITs or real estate. It's certainly something that is very, very dependent on your situation and what you actually want to achieve. But yeah, let's hop into the presentation. First, a little bit of an intro on what is a REIT and what is real estate, or what I mean by real estate in that sense. REIT is a real estate investment trust, and it is publicly traded, so you can buy a REIT similar like a stock on a stock exchange. You can buy it on a daily basis, and you can buy it with a little bit of money or with a lot of money. And real estate in this video is residential property. It can mean a lot of different things, but in this video, I talk about real estate in the sense of a residential property. So your own home or a home that you rent out. And I have prepared a list for positives and bad things about REITs and real estate. So basically a pro and con list for both. And I would say we jump into it and have a quick look on what that list looks like. I have 7 different topics that we will go through about both ways of investing. And starting with the first one, capital and money. So you should think that you need quite a lot of money to invest in real estate, but we assume you have a little bit of money and you want to invest it. And also, I think the main point for that category is how much money you actually can make with either real estate or REITs. And that is depending on how much money you have yourself, how much money you will have to borrow. And it certainly can, because if you buy a property, you basically go to a bank most of the time, and you leverage the money that you have by getting a loan to buy a more expensive property. There can be an advantage of buying real estate, because you can leverage the money that you have and can get more gains. But REITs are obviously a little bit easier to buy and sell, and that's why there is a tick for both things on my list. So I think they are not equal in how they work, but with both products, you can actually make quite a bit of money when you invest smart. Second category is knowledge. How much knowledge do you need for either invest in REITs or to invest in real estate? And I think that is very, very obvious for REITs. So to decide what REIT you buy, or to buy a REIT and to actually buy a REIT, it is super easy. So you don't need a lot of knowledge for that. To buy real estate and to buy good real estate and to determine if the value of that real estate that you want to buy is good, you need quite a lot of background knowledge. You need to be educated about the market. You need to know how in what shape a real estate is. And that's why it's a lot of knowledge that you have to gain before you invest in real estate. And with REITs, that's much easier. You can buy a REIT very easily, same as you would do stocks. That's why I certainly would give that point to REITs, because it's very easy to buy them. Coming to control, for a REIT, you basically have not much under control. The only control you have is, do you want to buy or sell that REIT on the share market? But for your home, or the home that you're renting out, you basically have a lot of control of what you want to do. You can control if you want to, how you maintain your property. You have the control on how much money you want to invest further in that property to probably increase the value. Or you can also decide what type of tenants you have, and you basically have everything under control, because you own the property and you can do with it what you want. And that's not the case with the REIT. When we're talking about diversification, so how well you are diversified with your portfolio, for example, when I talk about stocks. When we compare REITs with real estate, that's a very obvious choice, because in REITs, you buy one company that owns probably hundreds of thousands different properties, and your risk is basically spread across all those different properties that real estate investment trust owns. And if you own your own real estate, your own property, you basically have just one. And if there happens something to that property, or if the value, for example, drops, you basically lose all the money you have invested in that property, or at least a lot. So one property is definitely not very well diversified. Talking about tax advantages for REITs or real estate. If you buy REITs, there is not a lot of tax advantages. There are probably some, depending on how you buy them, if you buy them as an individual or if you buy them as part of a company. But for real estate, there are so many advantages. You can either get a loan for a house that is potentially subsidized, depending on where you live and depending on if it's your first property or a second, and what you do with it, if you live in it or if you rent it out. And if you rent it out, all the maintenance, all that money that goes into the property to increase the value, you can basically write off the tax that you spend on all that investment. Liquidity. If you have a real estate, if you have a property, it's first of all very hard to buy, so it takes quite a while to get it, but it potentially can take even longer if you want to sell it. The decision to sell a property, and from the decision to sell a property until you actually have sold the property, that can take up to months or probably even a year until that process is done and until you have received the money back that you invested in your property. With REITs, that's much easier. As I mentioned, you can buy and sell them on the stock exchange. So you basically can sell and buy them within a day. And that is so much easier. There are no process involved. You don't need a lawyer to get a contract. You don't need a bank that is involved to get the loan. You just buy the REIT that you want, and it's done. So very easy. Passiveness, and what I mean by that is how much you have to do during the process, during the time you own either the REIT or real estate. There's probably a lot you need to do in terms of maintenance and looking after that, finding new tenants in real estate. So if you have a property, there's quite a lot of work involved in keeping the real estate in a good shape and having it rented out. For REITs, there's literally nothing you need to do. So it is very easy. You buy the REIT and the rest will be done by the company that actually maintains and manage all the properties that are part of the REIT. So there's literally nothing you have to do once you have purchased. And so it's a very passive investment, and real estate can be a very active investment depending on how much work you have to spend with it. So what does that mean? which is better now? Where should you invest? If you see that table that I created with the green and red tick boxes, you would assume that a REIT is certainly the way to go. But I would say it is really, really depending on your situation, because a real estate can be a very smart investing if you have the experience and if you want to take the risk of taking the leverage of the money. So there are so many different points that take part in making the decision, and that you should consider when investing in either of those. So as I said, there's the experience, there is the decision how much money you have at the moment, how much debt you want to get into, or if you don't want to get in debt at all, how much money you have, how much money you want to receive back, how much time you have as well, for how long you want to invest. And as I mentioned earlier, also the skill set that you currently have, or the skill set that you actually want to develop over time, and how much time you have, and how much work you would want to put into all that investment. So if you consider all that, then this is a decision that you can make depending on what your circumstances are. And the actual returns can be very, very different as well. So it's really depending on your situation and what you want to do. For me, for example, I do own a rental property, but it is a very small property in terms of how much money and how much effort I have to spend. But I would not want to have even more properties. And also, on the other hand, I own REITs where I know how much effort I have to put into them, and how much return I will get from the long term. So I hope this was helpful to you in determining if you want to invest in properties or in real estate investment trusts. And yeah, let's continue to the next category. What I'm currently watching on YouTube. And this is someone that I'm following not that long, probably a couple of months, and his channel called Investing with Tom. And Tom is a truly value investor. He loves what Warren Buffett has to say, and he follows him basically step by step, not with his stock choices, but in the way he makes decisions and in the way he decides if he wants to invest in a company or not. And you can learn a lot about long-term investments and money management on his channel, and also the approach. He explains a lot the different approaches from other value investors and how they do. And he presents some once in a while also books that he reads and that he would recommend. So I certainly can recommend his channel. I really love his videos. He's doing YouTube now for 1.5 years, and he's really successful by now with all the videos that he creates. And yeah, he's a New Zealand bloke, so I would say right across the water from Australia, but it's a 4 hours flight. So and I would say that the New Zealand and Australian stock market are probably very close to each other, and a lot of the companies that are listed in New Zealand are also listed in Australia, and the other way around. So it feels like it's a very very close and very similar markets. So yeah, go check him out on YouTube and leave him some likes there as well. Have a look what he has to offer in his videos. And the last one, have you heard about? Today it's something different. And I mentioned earlier that I really like technology. And today I want to talk about foldable phones. Have you heard about them? Do you know what that is, a foldable phone? Of course, makes sense, a mobile phone that you can fold and put together. But it's really interesting because it's a quite new technology. You have actually foldable phones where the screen folds. So the screen literally folds in half. And one of the examples that I put out here is the Motorola Razr and it's a pretty great phone, and it was available in 2004, so quite a couple of years ago. And I actually had one of those mobile phones. It was one of the smallest that you could flip together, and it was small and slim in your pocket. And now they revealed a remake of that model with a full-size screen. So as you can see, there's a full screen across the inside of the phone. And Samsung just recently announced another phone with a very similar shape that you can fold, and where you have a full screen display as well. At the moment, it's still very new, the technology, and I think the companies are still trying to figure out what the best way is to actually use it. But I think it's worthwhile sharing it. I'm really keen to get my hands on one of those phones at some point. And if you want to see a couple of videos on how they are actually, what the technology looks like and how they work, have a look on Marcus Brownie's YouTube channel. He has a couple of videos about both phones. You can find the link in my description as well. Yeah, that was it today. I hope the REIT versus real estate video was interesting to you, and it helped you making a decision on what you would like to do in the future, what type of investor you want to become. And I'm looking forward to see you in my next video. See you then. Bye.